So Manchester United have a lot of very promising youth prospects in the under-21s and the under-18s, but who are the players that I think Ruben Amorim should be looking to integrate in the squad in the short, mid and long term, and what roles could they play in his system? So Goodwill Kukonki is a player that I've already made an analysis video on, so I'll leave that linked in the eye above and in the comment section below in case you want a full in-depth analysis. But in short, Kukonki already has the outline of an elite level left-sided centre-back, physically and athletically dominant, standing at 6'5", built like he sees the gym regular, but also very quick on the recovery. He's agile both in and out of position, able to twist and turn his body efficiently when defending in 1v1s, whilst also having the technical ability to allow him to disguise his forward passes, being particularly effective when shaping like he's going to play a pass down the line before closing his hips on the ball and threading the incisive pass between the opposition's midfield line. In possession, his ball carrying and incisive passing makes him the perfect profile of ball playing centre back for Amorim to use on the left of a back three, whilst his athleticism, physicality and recovery tackling ability gives him all the potential needed to be Lisandro Martinez's long term upgrade. Jim Twaites and Jace Fitzgerald sounds like it could be Manchester United's central midfield partnership in the 1960s, but both are currently in the under-18s and are actually quite stylistically similar, even if they do have different technical aesthetics. Twaites has a very distinctive technique that reminds me of someone, but I can't quite put my finger on it. He's got a low centre of gravity with a lot of control in everything he does, with Jace Fitzgerald also having this sort of authority and control in his game. Twaites is very press resistant, capable of receiving the ball with his back to goal and being able to drop a shoulder and spin out of pressure. And I'd say at the moment Twaites is probably the better of the two when it comes to threading passes between the lines, whilst Fitzgerald is the better long passer from deeper positions, but both players are capable of playing in a midfield double pivot, which would suit Amorim's 3-4-3. I would categorise both as deep lying creative midfielders rather than ball winners, but they are capable of doing the defensive work needed to a competent level, pretty good at covering ground, and industrious enough to be able to put in a foot when needed to break up the play. At the moment, however, I think it might be a bit too early to throw them into the first team, but you can clearly see that both need to be put into the under-21s rather than the under-18s, as I just don't think the under-18s is challenging enough to help them progress. Neither have any major weaknesses in their game, but without being tested at senior football, or even at the under-21s level, it's hard to see how refined their overall games are, particularly with the tempo and the physicality increase that will come with senior football. But before I come on to what I would do with both of these two players next season, if you want to pick up any of the new season jerseys or any club or international retro jerseys, go over to Jersey FIFA. They've got a variety of different shirts. You can use code Atlantis at checkout for a discount. A link will be in my Instagram bio, which I will leave linked in the description. So for me, these two would both be long-term options for Amorim. I'd say probably promote them to the under-21s for the second half of the season, as Fitzgerald is only 17, 18 in May, and Twaites is still only 16, 17 midway through December. However, come next season, I think both would benefit from going on loan somewhere like the Bundesliga 2 or even Ligue 2, where I would be confident that they are going to be starters for most games, whereas in the Championship, Eredivisie or even La Liga, I would worry about them receiving enough minutes that they need. However, in the German or French second divisions, the physical level is going to be substantially increased from youth football, and so this should enable them to get accustomed to the pace of senior football, whilst also being able to refine their overall game through getting sufficient minutes on the pitch. Coming back in the summer of 2026, Fitzgerald will be 19 and Twaites will be 18, wherefrom, depending on the central midfield options available, they could be given minutes over pre-season. But even then, given the players that are competing for a central midfield spot in Amorim's squad, they would probably need a loan to, say, the Eredivisie, Bundesliga, Ligue 1 or even the Belgian Pro League, before then coming back the following summer, aged 20 and 19 respectively. But in terms of potential, I think both could break into the Manchester United first team eventually, but only if they are developed properly and not wasted away in youth football. Another player from the under-18s who has been rumoured to be someone that Ruben Amorim has been looking at is Benito Mantato, who currently plays for the under-18s as a right winger, but was actually pushed up the pitch from the fullback position. And so you'd have to say that his profile makes him perfect for the wing-back role. But it's not just that, Mantato is very two-footed, meaning that when he plays from the right side, he can either cut inside onto his stronger left foot, look into link play, reverse a pass in behind the back line, or get a shot away, whilst also having the option of going down the outside of the fullback onto his right, into a crossing or a shooting position. Now, given that he isn't 17 until January, as you would expect, his game isn't as refined as it needs to be for senior football just yet. I think he will need to improve his close ball control, as well as his composure, as sometimes he can look a bit clunky and rash when he is dribbling at defenders or in congested areas. However, as a wing back, he certainly has a burst of acceleration needed to drive the ball into space, or he can drop a shoulder and burst down the line in a 1v1. Whilst his shooting in and around the box off of both feet is very good as well, which would make him a goal scoring threat when he does get into these positions. Shay Lacey is someone that most of the United fan base would have heard of at some point, and it's easy to see why, as in terms of natural talent and technical ability, he's definitely one of United's best youth prospects. Stylistically and in terms of his technical aesthetic, the comparisons with a young Phil Foden are obvious. Up until this year really, Lacey was fairly short, but it seems he has had a bit of a growth spurt, and now he's somewhere between 5'9" and 5'11", I'd say, even though I can't really find any solid confirmation. But in terms of his aesthetic, he still has that low centre of gravity that we do see from players like Phil Foden and Amad Diallo, capable of twisting and turning out of pressure, fantastic close ball control with his left foot, and even though he isn't rapid, his flair and technical ability does enable him to drop a shoulder and either cut inside onto his left foot or feint and drive down the outside. He's definitely more of a creator than a goal scorer at this point, having an eye for a switch of play or a reverse pass to find a run in behind the back line. But crucially, he also has that piece of game-changing magic, whether this is dancing around challenges inside of the box and being able to square a pass, or finish with a dink over the keeper when going down the outside, or cutting inside and releasing a curling strike with his left foot towards the far top corner, or driving the ball back towards the near post. Lacey has a great variety in his play and is anything but one-dimensional. He seems someone that would be perfect for that right-sided attacker position in Amorim's front three, being effective when sitting on the outside of the fullback and isolating the player in a 1v1, or drifting infield looking to receive the ball between the lines before linking play or finding a killer through ball. But at this point in time, I do think he has a lot of physical development to do before being ready for the first team, and so that's why I think you probably want to keep him in the under-18s for the next few months, promote him to the under-21s towards the end of the season, before keeping him in the under-21s next season, and if that physical development comes, then he can be given the opportunity in the first team throughout next season. As I have no doubt that the talent is there, but like Phil Foden, I think he needs to develop his upper body strength, but also the explosiveness in his legs as well. And this did take Foden a few seasons, so realistically I'm not expecting Lacey to break into Amorim's squad until 2026 at the earliest. 17-year-old Jack Fletcher is the son of Darren Fletcher, but plays more like Mesut Ozil than he does play like his dad, being a traditional number 10, who in Amorim's 3-4-3 system would be used as a right-sided attacker, primarily being the type of player who you want sitting in central positions, looking to receive the ball between the lines and creating via his switches of play and through balls. Unlike players like Garnacho or Rashford, Fletcher doesn't have the pace to draw a fullback in and then spin in behind into that space. Instead, he needs to be given more freedom to roam, looking to float into spaces behind the opposition's midfield line, but he could also work well in that role that Bruno Fernandes was used in during the second half at Ipswich, dropping deep in front of the opposition's midfield or forward line in order to get on the ball and aid ball progression with his incisive and long passing. He's still only 17, not 18 until March, so it may be a bit early for him this season, but next season I definitely think he should be given an opportunity during pre-season, but even then I think he might need a loan somewhere like the Bundesliga 2 in order to get sufficient minutes, but also get accustomed to the tempo and the physicality of senior football. So because there are so many other young talents on United's books, I'm going to make some other videos going through the others, but for this video I'll close on arguably the biggest talent in the United system at the moment, and that's Chido Obi Martin, who like Kukonki is already insanely physically and athletically developed for his age, to the point where I think he's probably already ready for senior football. Now, goal scoring is obviously the area where he excels, having a sort of composure technique and all-round clinical finishing ability that has made him a monster in youth football. The question is, however, is he overperforming due to his massive physical advantage compared to the other players his age, and can he translate this to senior football? Now, goal scoring wise, I certainly don't expect him to be scoring at the rate that he is in youth football, currently 5 goals in 5 games for the United under-18s, but I think his pacing behind the back line, movement inside of the box, and also his physicality, especially from aerial situations, is going to see him create a lot more chances for himself than other young forwards, and I do expect him to remain clinical. However, I think as we are seeing with Højlund, initially he may struggle when it comes to linking play with his back to goal, as whilst at youth level he has definitely shown that he can drop off and link play efficiently, he isn't exactly a Harry Kane or a Xerxes type of forward, who has that playmaker-like ability to receive the ball in deep positions and cut open the defensive line with a through ball, or switch play with a long pass. And also for me in the middle third, linking play with his back to goal is where he needs most development, as when it comes to spinning into channels, his physicality and pace alone makes him a very good outball for his side. He definitely has first team starter level potential, and I would like to see him and Ethan Wheatley being given some minutes in the first team over the second half of the season. But what happens to him next season is still ambiguous for me, and it would depend a lot on how he does when given the opportunity in senior football. I think one of either him or Ethan Wheatley comes in next season as United's third choice striker, with the other going out on loan, and I think either could do well in the Championship, as this would allow them to not only acclimatise to the physicality that they can expect in the Premier League, but also allow Amorim and United to see if they are ready for the United first team the season after, which Chido Obi Martin may not be, given that he's only 17 at the start of this year, meaning that even by the summer of 2026, he'll still only be 18. So overall, Kukonki I think should be in the United squad next season, potentially also Chido Obi Martin, whilst the rest probably need 1 or maybe 2 seasons of loans before they are able to break into Amorim's squad. So let me know who you rate the highest out of the players I've mentioned. You can sign up for my Patreon, I'll leave it linked in the description and every other place as well. And make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you don't miss my future videos as well.